Hello, everyone. Yeah, some days just do be like that, Jackson. So here it is. We're in a big, weird warehouse thing. And as far as I understand the concept, we eventually have to pick this door. Here's the boy. Welcome to the... I don't think there's any music in this game. There's a bit of sound effect in the background, but if it stays too quiet the entire time, I think I'm gonna, I don't know, pop on a chill beats station or something. Just something to keep it not being too quiet. It is a little steampunky, isn't it? Like a train station. Lo-fi beats to pick locks to, exactly. Rogue beats to pick locks and steal valuables to. Welcome to the Museum of Mechanics Lockpicking. This is a browsable buffet of example mechanics for lockpicking. The intended audience is game developers seeking a deeper understanding of the ways this problem has been tackled in the past. The mini-games here are simplifications, in most cases, of the original games. If you find something interesting, I urge you to play the original to see it in context. To play a mini-game, highlight the lock and click the mouse. Each mini-game also has a sign beneath it giving background, explaining the mechanics, and analyzing the design. So that's fun. And they've split it up into role-playing, Sims, and miscellaneous. Games implemented: Thief 1, 2, Nulf 1 and 2, Deus Ex, Thief 3, Thief 4, Fallout 1, 2, Fallout 3, Fallout 4, Morrowind, Oblivion, Skyrim. Remember the one from Morrowind, you just click on it and hope it works. Dungeons and Dragons 5e. How do they implement Dungeons and Dragons 5e into this? Anachronox, Testament of Sherlock Holmes. Yeah, I'm kind of hoping, just by the fact that it's called Museum of Mechanics, colon... Oh! Thank you for the follow, Pivot Ram Boy. Ooh, a ram. 5e is... Good. You know what? I shouldn't... That is kind of obvious now that you point that out. That obviously, they probably just do have me rolling a d20. Splinter Cell Pick Lock. I haven't even heard of that one. Hills Fire, Kingdom Come Deliverance, Dustin, Elysian Tale. I played that ages ago. I should go back to it. Sleeping Dogs, Wolfenstein New Order, Alpha Protocol, Risen 2 and 3, Mass Effect 2, Wizardry 6, Gothic Pathologic 2, Jenny Leclue, Detective. Apparently it does. I didn't remember it either, but I just sort of figured I didn't get far enough into it to find it. King's Heir, Rise to the Throne. And credits. Suppose we'll read that at the end. Okay, this is quite silent for the most part, and while it kind of does fit with the whole vibe of the thing, I think I will hop on the traditional chill hip-hop beats channel, because I know for a fact, unless they've changed it, they do not...
Careful.
Exactly. I'm pretty sure the actual Lo-Fi Girl channel doesn't do the whole litigation thing. How's that for volume? Is it too loud or too low? Maybe a little lower. Because we still want to hear all the... Oh, that's too low. Yeah, that's probably enough, right? Yeah. Because we do still want to hear all the clicking and stuff of the lockpicks. Well, let's start with Dungeons and Dragons. 5th edition, 2014, Wizards of the Coast. Dungeons and Dragons is not a video game. Many of the games represented here have their roots in the tabletop world of D&D. You know, you gotta start with the classic, right? Even if it's not like AD&D or something. So this is included for reference. It is based entirely on character skill, and unlike many of the examples elsewhere in the museum, which use player skill or a combination of both. This example is from the 5th edition rule set, the D20 system. They're very... To be honest, I think the guy that made this was a big Thief fan, because Thief fans seem to be the kind of people who make wacky stuff like this. In the system, any skill can be represented by the roll of a 20-sided die. This is the benefit of being simple. Every player already knows how to make any skill check, but has the downside of being mechanically undifferentiated. Making a check to pick a lock is no different from making a check to shoot an arrow or climb a cliff or tell a story. This is made up for in the D&D system by the strong narrative engine. See the analysis text. Wait, did AD&D have percentile dice? Oh, wow. I've never played AD&D. I like percentile systems, though, but I think that's just because that's what I started out on. Dark Heresy is a percentile system, so it's just what I was used to before moving into D&D and stuff. Mechanics. The mechanics of the check are very simple. The roll of a 20-sided die is simulated, and the player skill bonus is added to that. The result is greater than the DC, difficulty class, of the lock. It's a success. AD&D had percentile dice for a few things, but not everything. Yeah, it sounds like D&D. Just choosing whatever dice are necessary. It's a success. There's a small wrinkle in the probability, though. A roll of 20 is always a success, and a roll of 1 is always a failure, regardless of how the math works out. I have since been informed that this is not an official rule, but simply a very popular house rule. Always play this way, so I've left it in. Fair enough. Yeah, I was gonna say, 20 and 1 aren't always success or failure. They're just usually success and failure. The description of the mechanics sounds very dry, and it is, but that is made up for by the fact that the real people are using these rolls and numbers to tell a story. For example, player. Mikala is going to try to pick the lock. She looks around to make sure she is not being observed and then retrieves her picks from where they're hidden in her boot heel and gets to work. Okay, roll a dexterity check. Player rolls a 13 with a +4 skill bonus, result is 17. Knows the DC of the lock is 15. The lock is well made and a model you haven't seen before. You probe it delicately with your tools, and after a short time you tease out its secrets. With a satisfying click, the lock pops open. The dry math has been done, but has been wrapped in the story both players are telling about the world. Unfortunately, video games don't have access to an unlimited well of improvisational storytelling. Yet. Alright, let's roll some d20s. Oh, nice. They have like a proper cute little setup and everything. Oh. Just the difficulty class and player skill, and roll a d20, roll 20-sided die to see how they interact with the system. So, let's see. We'll make this a nice hard lock, but we'll... yeah. Roll. 14. Success! We got it. XP bonus. Let's try an even harder lock. Same skill level. Ooh, we didn't get it that time. Okay. There's not a whole lot to this, so it's probably good we started off with this one. Should play more D&D. It's been a long while since my last game. Alright. Any opinions on where we want to go next? I haven't done... Should we go left, right, or follow a path down and then back up kind of thing? maybe follow a path down and back up, actually. So we end up, like, we go there, and we come back. We're back in the center. I think that's what we'll do. So Fallout 1 and 2, which is a game I have not played. Fallout 1 and 2 used a more complicated but similar system to tabletop role-playing games. They depend entirely on character skill, but used two skills combined in a formula to determine results. Oh. So they have Thief 1 and 2, and Deadly Shadows and Thief 4 all in this. Yeah, Thief is part of this. That's a good idea, actually. Yeah. Well, I suppose I'll go with Oblivion. Oblivion... I used to be really good at this one. I remember being able to pick most locks without breaking any, but after a while, you know, after you do the Nocturnal quest and you get the skeleton key that never breaks, I kind of just relied on the force lock, and I lost all of my skill with this one. Oblivion was the first Elder Scroll game to feature a lockpicking minigame that took player skill into account. Previous entry in the franchises are strictly character skill based, but in Oblivion, character skill only determined how badly you could fail the minigame. In Oblivion on PC, the lockpicking game is controlled with the mouse. Moving the mouse left or right moves the pick, and clicking attempts to pick the lock. The pick unlocks the tumbler. Yeah. For this reproduction, though, I chose to use keyboard keys, which are a little clearer to understand. Oh, that's fair enough. Player moves the lockpick to the desired slot and hits space to knock the tumbler upwards. Pressing space again will lock the tumbler in place, if you hit the right window. In Oblivion, failing to hit the right window would reset some number of the tumblers and break your lockpick, a limited inventory resource. This version does not break your lockpick, only resets your progress. Also in the original game, lock difficulty determined how many tumblers were already, and permanently, locked at the top. This version simulates only an easy lock, for now. It is a very difficult minigame, though. Aren't easy locks like most of the tumblers? Very easy is you only have to do 2, but easy you have to do 2 of them, isn't it? Maybe we'll... Oh, hold on. We'll look at the analysis after we do it. Okay, easy was 3 tumblers you had to do, right? So... simple enough. Achievement unlocked. The Hero of Latch. Can I do it again? Hold on, let me get this and then fail on this one. I was actually trying that time. It's always like this. It's Oblivion lockpicking is weird. Kinda like it though. I'm committed now. I'm gonna get this. I'm gonna get this again. I did too early that time. Wait, hold on. There. And I went through so many goddamn lockpicks there. Hills Far, Kingdom Come Deliverance, Mass Effect 2, Wizardry 6, Gothic. Gothic I've heard is really good. I should give that a go sometime. Alright, we gotta do the classic, right? Skyrim, Fallout 3 and 4. Of the Thief lockpicking games, I think Thief 3 is my favorite one. Just because Thief 2 is kind of too easy. Thief 1 and 2, I mean. Like, you just pick which lockpick it is, and if it clicks, it's right, and if it clicks differently, it doesn't. I did not finish Rat Game, no. We're just playing this because I wanted to spice things up a little bit. Also, hey, unhelpfulness. Oh, we didn't read the analysis of this one. The minigame is interesting and challenging, and feels enough like lockpicking to sell the fan. It does, kind of, actually. Yeah, hello unhelpfulness, how you doing? It can be too challenging, however. In the original game, the only feedback for the correct success window was a tiny, easy-to-miss sound. Wait, what? Really? Easy to miss for sure. Yeah, I don't know that sound at all. What sound? I have to play Oblivion again now. In addition, the game suffers from a similar problem to as many minigames. It's a very involved process that takes the player out of the game. Almost literally in Oblivion, simulation time, controlling combat, projectiles, etc., stops entirely while attempting to pick locks. That's how everything in Oblivion and Morrowind worked. Having to complete the same game over and over can become tedious to players. To combat this, Oblivion gives you the ability to auto-attempt the minigame, using a character skill-based roll to simulate opening the lock. If the player chose to get good at the minigame, they could pick locks above their skill level, but also no one was required to engage with it beyond the same level as in previous titles. Yeah, that's fair. Alright. Skyrim, Fallout 3 and 4. The lockpicking used in Fallout 3 and 4 and Skyrim is an iterative, well, New Vegas as well, but I guess that counts as 3, is an iterative improvement on the lineage of Thief 3 and 4, with an immediately recognizable rotation interface. However, this game makes some subtle but important improvements to the base rotation game. Like other rotational games, the goal is to align the lockpick to the correct angle. However, the game doesn't signal that angle while the lockpick is rotating. Well, this is going to be a lot of reading. I'm going to be stumbling over a lot of words. Instead, the player has to test it by attempting to rotate the lock as well. When the lockpick is in the correct spot, the lock will rotate a full 90 degrees, then the lock will open. The closer the lockpick is to the right location, the further the lock will rotate. If the player is not in the right spot and presses too long, the lockpick will break. In Skyrim and Fallout, lockpicks are resources that the player needs to keep on hand for this. In addition, the game uses character skill as well. The higher the player's lockpick skill, the more forgiving the lock is and the fewer lockpicks they will break. In addition, in Skyrim the player can unlock perks that make picking locks very easy by expanding the target angle to cover a large part of the range. But if the player is skilled enough at the game, the lock can always be picked. None of these aspects are modeled here, just the base game. Except in Fallout 4, where you can't pick locks above your level. Is it the same in Fallout? No, Fallout 3 is the same in Skyrim. You can pick locks that are above your level, I think. It's been a while since I played Fallout 3. But I know Fallout 4 you can't pick locks above your level because I keep running into locks I can't pick yet. Guess they realized that everyone could really easily do this lockpicking minigame. I don't think I ever leveled Skyrim's lockpicking. Like, I'd level every other skill thing, mostly, but never lockpick. I never needed to. Oh, how are they doing this here? Okay, it's a little different. Yeah, exactly. I see. It was, yeah. They have to recreate every single game's lockpicking mechanic. Oh, apparently it was there. Achievement unlocked. Lockpick to the knee. Feel like they could have done better on that one. Alright, let's see. Mass Effect. Oh, no. Didn't read the analysis. By requiring the player to rotate the lock when they think they're close, instead of having a UI element, this adds an important guessing aspect to the straightforwardness of the Thief 3 or 4 models. It also makes the player feel the tension of delicate work and the test-retry loop of lockpicking, without being so involved as to be cumbersome. It's understandable why Bethesda has stuck to this minigame for several iterations across multiple franchises. It is a really good lockpicking game. I mean, the one that's in here could use a little bit of work, but I never finished Mass Effect. I got stuck on the last boss and just gave up eventually. But I remember the lockpicking was just like press the right button at the right time. Mass Effect is a science fiction RPG. In the game, the player can pick locks, although doing so is referred to as bypassing. This is verging on hacking, which I've decided is a different thing than lockpicking, which is fair enough. But it's only used to access locked doors or containers in the game, so still fits within the museum's purview. The game is a version of Frogger. Is it? Player must guide a... I don't remember that. Did they... What, did they change it in a different version? I don't remember it being like this. Player must guide a cursor past obstacles safely to the center of the rings. There's also a time component to add additional pressures. Press A, D, or left-right stick to move left and right. W, or, I'm assuming that's or. W or the A button to proceed one step forward. Contacting an orange or red obstacle or running out of time will cause failure. Reaching the center will be a success. Maybe I'm not familiar with this. Is it always like that? Oh yeah, no, I don't remember this at all. What? Orange or red, they said, right? Okay, so do they want me on the purple one then? Or just in between the gaps? Because I can do the gaps. Nope. Huh? Okay, maybe I don't get this one. What? What? Hey, why did I do that time? Oh, I timed out. Okay, yeah. Achievement unlocked. Effective. I'm doing that again. So it's all obstacles, which is fair. Where's my triangle? Yeah. Okay, fair enough. So apparently I'm not familiar at all with the Mass Effect ones. So, for the rest of the RPGs, I'm just gonna go and do the ones I haven't done yet. Fallout 1 and 2. Fallout 1 and 2, character skill, yeah, that's right. I'll use the formula of 20 plus perception times agility divided by 2, where perception and agility are the character's perception and agility scores that can be raised in the game. That determines the chance of success. Just realized I didn't read the analysis. I really need to remember to do that. Analysis. Around this time, many games started lifting older arcade game mechanics for minigames, especially hacking minigames. Perhaps this is because hacking is a very abstract concept and hard to make a verb for, although we'll explore that further in the Hacking Museum. It's made. I hope it does. This isn't very similar, even in the metaphorical way, to real lockpicking, but since the locks are presumably digital or computer locks, that makes sense. The minigame is not terribly interesting, but at least it's fairly quick to play. It is, once you get the hang of it. Alright, so agility, perception, keep that at the same. Roll. Failed. Roll again. Still failed. Success! Achievement unlocked. Pick Boy 2000. Ooh, terrible pun. Yeah, okay, I can see why they moved away from those systems. Do they not have... No, I guess they don't have Morrowind. It's supposed to be kind of redundant, because it is just a dice roll as well. Hello, cacti. No, you're grand. You might note that in character skill systems, there is nothing preventing the player from trying again and again until they succeed, even if that success rate is less than 1%. In D&D, the DM and social pressure will most likely prevent this. There's usually like house rules as well, like it takes a certain amount of time to do every lockpicking attempt, so you can't just keep doing them over and over again, or you'll run out of actual in-game time. It's pretty good, isn't it? Yeah. Lo-fi hip-hop beats. We are lockpicking every single type of lockpick mechanic in every game. Sort of. Mostly. A lot of them. Most of them. This is Museum of Mechanics lockpicking. Taking 10, taking 20 are rules that 5e doesn't use. Another solution is necessary. Fallout solved the problem by having a low roll jam the lock until the following day, making it impractical to brute force a lock. In player skill-based lockpicking mechanics, the ability to try over and over again is a benefit. You continue practicing until you gain the requisite skill. Oh, did I? That was the analysis, wasn't it? Yeah. You're grand. I feel like it's mostly finished now anyway. Oh, yeah, I think... Yeah, I remember there's a similar mechanic to that in Dark Heresy, where a low roll doesn't mean you failed, it just means you... No, thank you. A low roll doesn't mean you failed, it just means you take a very long time to do it. Ilsfar. Yeah, you're on your way to fixing it. So I am not at all familiar with this game. I don't even know what it is. Oh, okay. AD&D. Ilsfar was an SSI AD&D game similar to the famous Gold Box games. Despite being based on Dungeons & Dragons, though, the lockpicking does not use D&D's character skill system. Instead, the developers took an action-adventure approach to the game and created mini-games for several activities, including lockpicking. Hello, Holly. Matt, what are you bonking me for? I didn't do anything. I am doing grand, Holly. How are you doing today? On attempting a lockpick, The player is faced with a screen full of lockpicks. Oh. The 3 tumblers in a lock, as well as a fuse burning down as a timer. Fair enough. But I was correct. I didn't do anything. Aha. You're doing amazing? Excellent. Oh, I don't have that set up yet. Well, it's less of a game and more of a showcase. It's a museum of mechanics. Hence the name. The 3 tumblers long with a fuse burning down as a timer. The player must match the appropriate lockpick with the active tumbler before the fuse reaches the end. Oh, okay. As a further complication, each lockpick has 2 ends, one of which is upside down. So the player must mentally flip shapes to find the one that matches. Oh, wow. Use the arrow keys, WASD, or the D-pad to select the lock. Use F or the Y button to flip the lock. Press space or A button to attempt to pick the lock. Jesus. Okay, this is gonna be a... Ooh, and we're under time pressure. This is gonna be a whole thing. Let's give it a go. Wait, shit. How do I... Space. And then... Yeah, we're not making this... Yeah. Okay, I get it. Okay, and big triangle. This one. Yeah, this is going to take me a couple of goes, I think. Oh, that was the wrong one. Oh, this one. No, sorry. This one. Is it really not that one? It is that one. But it wasn't that one again. Okay. Other way around. Wait, oh, I know this one. Where is it? Where? There it is. Big triangle. Hey! Achievement unlocked. Feels near. Yeah, I might make you a mod. So far I haven't needed one, thankfully. Everyone's been real nice. Alright, this is the earliest lockpicking minigame in the museum, and takes a very different approach than many later games. It has much tighter time pressures and is very difficult. Yeah, I noticed. No, it's because all of you are speedies. A bunch of sweethearts in here. However, it's not a contest of dexterity like many lockpicking games, but rather one of visual puzzle solving almost. Matching the shapes, especially with the different orientations, can be very difficult, and a short time limit certainly doesn't help. It's a unique example of a mechanic, though. It's a good one. I like this one. Maybe if the timer was a little bit slower, though. Kingdom Come Deliverance is one of the games I have like on backlog that I'm gonna play at some point. Kingdom Come is a role-playing game marketed heavily, and problematically, and falsely, on historical accuracy. I'm not a lock scholar, but I don't think the lockpicking is particularly historically accurate, and it's not really. It should also be noted that the director of the game is a vocal supporter of... Oh, never mind. I'll strike that one off the list. Please take that into account when deciding to support this game. Yeah, shit. Alright, fine. Can't have shit in video games, can you? For fuck's sake. It looked really fun. This is mechanically pretty unique. It depends on keeping the cursor within a target area while rotating the lock. No problem, Buck. Have a good sleep. It is getting close to your bedtime anyway. Just rotating the lock. Use the mouse or left stick to move the cursor and press D or A to rotate the lock. The original game using a controller, the lock was rotated with the right stick, but this is very hard to do accurately and led to many complaints, so I've made it easier. Oh, good on you. Oh, okay. Put the cursor into the target area using the mouse or stick. And press the D key or A to rotate the lock. Okay. Did I do it? Achievement unlocked. Kingdom gone. These are getting worse and worse as we go along. ME2. Oh, hold on. Analysis. While not attempting to directly simulate the actions involved in picking a lock, it does provide a feeling of delicate and precise movement and needing to locate and maintain control over a sweet spot. It's also a unique approach to the mechanic, which is nice to see. It's a pity about the developer and the marketing of the title. Yeah, fair enough. It's a good little mini game. It's not at all like lockpicking, but sure, whatever. Mass Effect 2 is the sequel to Mass Effect, but uses a different lockpicking game. Again, the interface in the game is very hacking-like, but the minigame is only for opening locked items, so it's lockpicking to me. This game is just the traditional children's game of memory or concentration. The player must choose two symbols that appear the same. Okay. Selecting all the pairs will unlock the lock. Mouse over the symbols to reveal them, click to choose. Gamepad support coming later. Yeah, it should do somewhere. It's probably over there somewhere. Alright, it's a little... Has he made that easier? Because that's a little too easy. I also missed what the name of the achievement was. Hold on. Effective 2. Yeah, okay. That was really easy. Like, usually with that game you have to memorize where they are, but you can just mouse over them. Like the lockpick in the first Mass Effect, this is just a different game dressed up as a minigame. With the set dressing from the original game, takes place in a circuit board-like background, it sells the fantasy of electronically bypassing locking mechanisms well enough, but it isn't particularly interesting minigame in its own right. It's quick and requires little explanation, so those are points in its favor. Alright, Wizardry 6. Wizardry is a fantasy role-playing series, very much in the Dungeons & Dragons mold. In the game, the player's party of adventurers wanders through a dungeon and can encounter locked doors, which they can attempt to pick using a minigame that's similar to a slot machine reel. Oh, interesting. The reel landed on all green squares, the pick attempt would succeed, and any red squares would be a failure. However, there's some dispute as to whether the player's input had any effect on this at all, or whether it was simply a random number generator whose output was reflected in the square's display. If that's the case, then this is essentially the same as the other character skill-based games in the museum, but here it's implemented with player skill taking the forefront. Yes, cacti. In the original game, character skill definitely factored into making the lock harder or easier. As another interesting note, the code in the original game is tied to frame... Oh, they've tied it to frame rate. Oh, actually, yeah, I have a full model. Hold on, let me zoom out here for a minute. I know I'm getting smaller. That's the full me. I mean, mostly I'm cutting off my shoes a little bit. I got them sheepy hoofs. Hold on, let me go over to the other screen. 1 second. This is bigger. Oh, but it does play music. Hold on. Where am I? VTube Studio. There we are. So that's me. Hi. At some point, I probably am going to be changing the model, getting a new one. But, yeah. This little guy is cute, the way he is at the moment. Oh, he's super cute, isn't he? I think my favorite bit is the little bell on the horn. Oh, thank you. Oh. Yeah, let me stick myself back down here. I think I was around about here somewhere. Oh, no. No. A little bit over. A little over there. Down here a little. Yeah, that's about where I was. Okay. Slot machine. Tied to frame rate. Terrible idea. Everyone used to do that. It was never a good idea. Meaning that if you play this game on a modern computer, the reels go by too fast for any real reaction, reducing it to a random chance anyway. Press space or A to stop the reels. Attempt to stop on all green squares to succeed. The difficulty here is fixed such that the reels will be green 70% and 75% of the time, representing fairly high character skill. But the lock has 4 tumblers, making it a somewhat difficult lock. Okay, high skill, high lock. Oh, gee. Oh, Christ. Ah, missed it. Okay, that's not at all what I got from the description. Hey, achievement unlocked, the whiz. Yeah, that was basically random chance anyway. That was too fast to see anything for me. Assuming this is meant to be a player skill game, this is an early attempt at tying together character skill and player skill. It's obviously very simple and not terribly satisfying. In my own attempts playing it, it feels rather random whether I succeed or fail anyway. It's almost impossible to watch multiple reels simultaneously and try to time the button press correctly. As discussed on other character skill titles, this then raises the issue of players simply trying again and again until they succeed. Wizardry 6 deals with this by making the lock jam sometimes after failure, at which point it can no longer be picked. One player noted, "In practice, this means you reload your save and try again." Yeah, sounds about right. Gothic, 2001. Gothic is an action role-playing game developed by Piranha Bytes. You'll notice they are also the developer of Risen, near here in the museum. Or Risen? Risen. Gothic's lockpicking was very simple. Each lock responded to a combination of left-right inputs. Hello, Chansa-song. Oh, actually, since you're here, I've been meaning to ask, are you Korean by any chance? Because your name sounds Korean to me, but I'm not sure. Yes, you. Ah, thought so. Where am I? Left-right inputs the correct sequence in order would unlock the lock. A mistake would consume a lockpick. There is no visual feedback for the minigame. The game simply shows the player character crouching near the lock to be picked. So, here you will not see any minigame UI. except for the text letting you know that you've made a mistake, and optionally the solution text. What? Really? Oh, this is going to be a weird one. Press left, right, AD, or D-pad left, right to guess the next part of the sequence. Get all 4 correct in order to unlock. If you guess incorrectly, the guess is set to 0. Press T to see the target sequence. The sequence is newly generated each time you play the minigame, but remains the same during each session, so you can learn it through trial and error. The game shows you the command sequence you've entered so far, but the original did not. Oh, for Kingdom Come Deliverance, I didn't realize pressing T was like a developer thing to show you. Okay, I should actually go and redo this one and do it properly. Okay, try that again. I was thinking that was too easy. I think that succeeded. Gothic. Right, so, left. Left again. Left, right. Left, right. Achievement unlocked. Gothic with 2 C's at the end. Terrible. Absolutely terrible. Risen. Oh, analysis. Comparing this to the Risen series, it's interesting and instructive, I feel. In a way, the lockpicking in Risen is similar, just a series of left-right inputs that need to be done in the correct order. But by adding the visual component to the tumblers, it's much easier to grasp what you've done correctly or incorrectly. Gothic, the chests always had the same combinations, so players would memorize the sequence and use that knowledge to avoid wasting lockpick resources on luck. Actually, Thief 3, I only noticed this after playing it a whole bunch of times, but all of the locks, there's only like 5 or 6 different patterns, so you can just learn off what each lock is. That just makes it a lot easier. Avoid wasting lockpicking resources on locks, probably an unintended consequence. The lack of visual feedback and any skill makes the player behavior feel totally justifiable. There's no other way to master this minigame than memorizing the patterns. It's interesting too that this has a more complex mechanic than Thief or Deus Ex, but feels mechanically poorer. Presumably the lockpick economy would have worked as well, or better, with a Deus Ex style skill check for the lockpicks. I haven't actually played Deus Ex, which is a statement I'm just going to breeze past and pretend like I didn't just say. The Risen series is a fantasy RPG series. Lockpicking is interesting. It appears similar to other games such as Oblivion, in which the goal is to knock the tumblers upwards. It is actually a simple trial and error puzzle. A puzzle game about finding the correct sequence. In the first title in the series, lockpicking had an associated skill and was at least somewhat character-based, but the puzzle here is skill independent. The player must figure out the correct order to hit the tumblers in. Once you hit a tumbler and it moves to the top of the lock, try a tumbler next to it. If it too moves up, try another. At any point you fail, go back to the beginning and try a different pattern. Move the lockpick with A and D, left or right. On the stick, hit T to see the solution displayed. Deus Ex? I should play it at some point. Yeah, it never looked as interesting as Thief to me, so I just haven't. I did play I played one of the newer ones. The older one of the 2 newer ones, whichever one's that one's called. Is that that Mankind Divided, or is it the other one? Human Revolution. Thank you, Jackson. Yeah, Human Revolution is the one I played. I do own both of them, so I might... Maybe I'll make them a stream at some point. Okay, so it's... Okay, I get it. Achievement unlocked. Risen to the occasion. I'm gonna do that one again. Oh yeah, okay, it's the same sequence every time. Did Skyrim, did Oblivion, Anachron analysis. This is one of the few examples of a puzzle lockpicking game in a non-puzzle based game series. An interesting side effect of this is that it's hard to tie any sort of character skill system to the minigame. Because it's always a puzzle, there's nothing your character can do to make it easier, except perhaps show hints. In the dexterity-based player skill games, it's possible to adjust the sweet spot size or the speed at which things move with additional player skill. The puzzle has few levers to adjust. Yeah, that's true. I think I prefer the player-based skill ones in general, though. Anachronox was a sort of immersive sim-tinged RPG by... Oh, Ion Storm. Nice. In the fiction of the game, locks were electronic, and so lockpicking begins to veer into hacking territory, but it remained focused on opening doors and containers, unlike later games which used hacking both for lockpicking and for other systems. Like many later hacking minigames, though, Anachronox uses a small, simple minigame that has little resemblance to actual locks. In Anachronox, it's a timed number guessing game, but e.g. Bioshock implemented a small version of pipe dreams for the hacking minigames. Yeah, I remember doing those. Got pretty good at them, too. This is a player skill-based game. Guess all the numbers before the time runs out. Press the up and down arrow keys, or use the mouse, to adjust your guesses, and press space to guess. When you guess, a meter will appear on the lockpick telling you how close you are. The higher it is, the closer you are. In the game, some locks had only 10 seconds to unlock them and 5 tumblers to guess. These were impossible without gaining the Master Picklock skill, which gives the player the ability to reset the timer. That's not modeled in this game. That's good. Sounds terrible. Okay. Left and right arrows and then... What was it? Left and right and then space. Oh no, up and down arrows to adjust the guess and space to guess. Yeah, okay. Up and down. I kind of like that one. Achievement unlocked. Anachronolox. That one's a bit tortured. Okay. In Sims, other genres. We've done everything in role-playing. That's nice. It only took us 1 entire hour. I'm gonna get faster. Alright, so in The Sims is just thief, pathologic, thief, and thief. Wait, did Deus Ex really use the same lockpicking system? And look, no one lives forever. The majority of games in the exhibit use player skill, sometimes interacting with character skill in various ways. The immersive sim games collected here, though, do not really use either player skill or character skill. They rely on resources and other game systems to provide the challenge of lockpicking, and lockpicking is just a matter of holding a button. It is true. Hold on, what did they say about... Oh, there's so many of these I missed. Okay. These two games demonstrated a system of character skill rather than player skill. Many games use this technique, but it's essentially the same mechanic every time. They've included only these two examples. That makes sense. Any other notes? Did I miss anything else? No, doesn't look like I have. Any other notes on these ones? Alright, well, we'll do Thief, Deus Ex, and No One Lives Forever. The first two Thief games, Deus Ex and the No One Lives Forever series, require neither character skill nor player skill to pick locks, just patience will do it. That's true. However, access to lockpicks is not always given. In Thief, they are provided later in the game, and in Deus Ex, they are a consumable resource. In addition, the act of lockpicking tied into other game systems. For example, in Thief, lockpicking created noise, which could alert nearby guards. In Deus Ex, the player could upgrade their lockpicking skill, lessening the number of lockpicks consumed. Why, you consume a lockpick every time you have to switch back and forth or something? Hold down the left mouse button to begin picking the lock. The more complicated locks in Thief 1 and 2 would require you to switch lockpicks. This lock will do that at 50% done. To switch, press the right mouse button. You can also use the A and Y buttons on a controller, obviously. Thief never came out on consoles, so this is an arbitrary button mapping. And done. Achievement unlock, the Darkest Project. Oh, Thief lockpicking. You really don't have to do much with it. Analysis. These are interesting entries for the Lockpicking Museum because lockpicking was certainly a key feature of these games, but the actual lockpicking is very simple mechanically. The act of lockpicking needed the larger systems around it to be meaningful and wasn't yet attempting to be challenging on its own. But at the same time, these games had moved away from the character skill model of RPGs. Out of context, it feels light and simple, barely a speed bump for the player. It does... I have noticed that lockpicking in the first two Thief games does kind of feel more like, you know, you're a rogue in a D&D game and you pull out your lockpicks and you get to work. You just have to use a little bit of skill knowing when to switch around. But, yeah. It just feels right. Like, not so much being like a rogue in a D&D game from the point of view of mechanics, but how you would narratively describe what your character was doing if you played as a rogue, sort of thing. Pathologic 2. I have to go back and play Pathologic 1 at some point. It is a very confusing game. Pathologic is a legendary immersive sim about surviving a plague in a strange Russian town. Pathologic 2 is mostly a higher fidelity and more polished remake of the original game. It's famous partly for being very bleak and difficult, and one of the few ways the player character can keep themselves alive is by stealing from the townsfolk. In order to do this, the player can pick locks. There are actually two types of lock to pick in Pathologic 2, cupboards and house doors. They have the same lockpicking minigame but require different lockpick resources to attempt. So despite the game's difficulty, the lockpicking minigame is not terribly challenging. The limits on lockpicking come mostly from the game's harsh resource economy. Hold left mouse or left trigger to lift this left side tusk, and right mouse or right trigger for the right side. Attempt to line up both red zones with the needles in the middle at the same time and hold there for a few seconds. What? Oh, I'm sure it'll make sense once we get in there. Yep, it made sense once we got in there. Achievement unlocked. Half a lockpick. Puns are terrible. We'll do Thief Deadly Shadows first after I remember to do the analysis on this one. I think the brilliant thing about this... Yeah, it's weird. I think the brilliant thing about this lockpicking game is the way it makes you concentrate on two things at once. Two hands if you're using the controller. Not attempting to be analogous to real lockpicking in the way other games are, but modeling the tumbler motion. But I think it gets at the feeling of manipulating two lockpicks at once. The mouse version isn't as strong in my opinion since it's using two fingers and doesn't have the same effect on my brain. Actually, for me, the mouse version feels a little more like trying to pat your head and rub your tummy at the same time. I think it was probably designed for controller first. An interesting experiment would be mapping the left hand to the keyboard and the right hand to the mouse to see if that accomplishes the same as the controller approach. I bet it would. Thief 2 before Thief 3? Do you mean Thief 4 before Thief 3? Because we already did Thief 2. It was this one over here. Yeah, no worries. See you later, Unhelpful. I will. Thank you for coming along. Always nice to see you. Which one did you want me to do first, Jen? Or Deadly Shadows? Oh, you missed it? Ah, here, I'll do it again. Yeah, when it's removed from the rest of the game, it doesn't feel that involved. Three first? Three first. Thief Deadly Shadows was the first Thief game on consoles. Yes, Xbox original. Nothing else. The development team tried to take advantage of the twin analog sticks on console controllers to make a lockpicking game that felt more like moving two lockpicks. However, the version that shipped really only uses one lockpick, the angle of which is manipulated to defeat the lock. Layers Shock, a vampire hunting game from 2016, uses a similar mechanic with the addition of hand models and the ability to force the lock, and Uncharted uses the same mechanic except in a very cinematic style. I didn't know that. I haven't played any of the Uncharted games. Mechanics. The player moves the mouse or analog sticks to find the correct angle for the lockpick. Keeping the lockpick within range of this angle makes progress on the picking. Being within range is indicated by audio and animation feedback of the Ring UI elements. For the museum, we display the target angle and the player's angle, but this is not shown in the game. The other feedback is the only direction the player gets. In the game, locks vary in difficulty with fewer or more rings and looser and tighter angle requirements. Here there are always 4 rings and the angle ranges are fixed. So the thing about this one as well is, let's see, they don't implement... No, okay, they don't implement the other thing. So, there. Oh, okay, it wasn't there. Do they have... No, clicking doesn't make it go faster. There's one. I was gonna say, why did the music shut off? Achievement unlocked. Hammered. Nice. Yeah, so in the actual game for Thief Deadly Shadows, you can use WASD to move your pick into specific areas, or if you use two keys at once, like W and D, A and W, etc., you can move them into like the cardinal. You can move your pick into the cardinal and ordinal compass directions. And then if you click once you hit the sweet spot, it just automatically sets the pin. Which is a thing that the game never tells you, and you just kind of have to figure out for yourself. Which, I don't know, that's weird, because it makes the lockpicking really easy once you learn how to do that. This attempts to be a more visceral, active lockpicking game than previous entries in the Thief franchise, and succeeds at that. However, it is still a matter of patience more than anything else. Simply locating the right angle and waiting is enough to pick any lock. Lockpicking in Fallout 3, located in the RPG section, builds on this solution with the elegant addition of two other mechanics. Yeah, I played it on PC exclusively. I suppose they don't have that in the console version, then yeah. Thief 4, confusingly and unnecessarily marketed as Thief, despite being the fourth entry in the series, takes a similar approach to the previous entry in the franchise, but with a significantly cleaner and more understandable UI. In the game, the lockpicks are represented by 3D models of the characters' hands holding 3D lockpicks. The active lockpick does not move in a circle, but rather in a sort of constrained ellipses. And the other lockpick moves slightly as well, but both of them seem to be mostly visual flavor. The correct position can only really usefully be read from the UI elements. Here the lockpicks are just lines, because I am not a 3D artist. Yeah, you can tell he's a fan. Like Thief Deadly Shadows, the player manipulates the analog stick, or the mouse, to rotate a lockpick until it's in the right angle range. Instead of indicating this with moving rings, however, Thief does it by way of circles, indicating the tumblers that become more opaque the closer you are. Another addition is that instead of just waiting at that angle, the player presses a button to lock in the tumbler, making for a quicker and less passive experience for the players. There's also another mode, not simulated here, where by spending skill points the player can upgrade to see all the tumblers inside the lock and exactly when they're in the right spot. Careful. Thank you. Right spot. This is an interesting twist on the character progression system, which previously was not part of the Thief series. Yeah, hold on. What? Nice. Just anyone, I think. Yeah, I don't think I ever put down an idea for a constraint on anyone going into voice chat. That's just like voice chat for whoever wants to be on voice chat. Alright. Yeah, that's immersive Sims done. No worries. So this is just everything else. Analysis. The UI is cleaner and easier to read with the addition of the active button press makes this a stronger minigame than the previous entries. He is correct. Okay, fair enough. I'll unlock it myself after the stream. Stronger minigame than the previous entries. However, the focus on the UI and the abstract nature of the white circles divorces this somewhat from the fantasy of lockpicking. Optional skill upgrade shows a gorgeous 3D model of the lock and tumblers, but removes most of the challenge. This rotate to the right place and then press a button model ends up being very similar to the solution in the Bethesda Fallout games and Skyrim. This is another solution that is obviously developed for console, using the analog stick to give the feeling of manipulating lockpicks. If you have the ability, try with both mouse and keyboard and controller, notice how much more natural and quicker the controller feels. Actually, yeah, sure enough. 1 second. No worries. Okay. Oh, oh. Yeah, that does feel pretty good. I mean, I've played Thief 4 before. I should remember, but I don't. Okay, yeah, that's definitely all ImSim's done. So let's just see everything else. Any little notice boards? There's one. So let's see, which ones of these have I done? Interesting. Absolutely none of them. I've never played a single one of these games. Except Dust. So I'll just go in order. Pick lock. It's a little on the nose. Oh, I forgot to say... Hold on, what was it? The achievement you get for doing Thief 4 is achieved. That's spelled ACHI4VED. It's terrible. We are never gonna let the 4F go. Oh, 2020, okay. Picklock is a thesis project by NYU Game Center graduate students that uses a physical lock controller. Interesting. To more accurately simulate the experience of picking a lock. There's a screen-based minigame component as well, but as the important part of this experience is the physical controller, it is not implemented here. Instead, here's a video of the gameplay. Oh, interesting. Picklock uses a maze as a representation to guide the player through the act of picking the lock. Steering through the maze is done with the special physical controller. Okay, so it's just a video. Oh, that's cute. That's fun. I should get one of them. Pick lock. Achievement unlock. Pick lock meant it. Oh. Pick lock meant achieve. Because pick lock is lock pick with the 2 bits gone backwards. So we got a meant achieve for that one. I'll just go in order. Testament of Sherlock Holmes. Thank you. It's like I just sink down every 5 minutes. Might as well take a drink actually while I'm at it. Yeah. Yeah, so remember, you know what? Everybody watching, check your posture every time I get one of those redeems. These redeems are for you guys too. That includes the drink redeems. And the save redeems as well. I don't care how you do it. The Sherlock Holmes games by Frogwares are interesting as they use relatively complex mechanics but treat lockpicking as one puzzle to be overcome among a suite of puzzles. Thank you. Drink redeem. A suite of puzzles rather than a mini-game and a collection of mechanics, as most of the rest of the games here. As a consequence, the mini-games are generally longer and more involved and require some element of problem-solving instead of reflexes. Analysis. This is a really interesting project, unfortunately not one that most people will get to play, as there is, I believe, only one controller in existence. think it's fascinating that a relatively normal minigame is also included. I assume this is because of the difficulty of simulating proper feedback in the hardware, and also perhaps as a requirement in the thesis project. Hope the experience is available soon for more people to experience in person. The new PS5 controllers have like a force feedback thing, don't they? You could get the force feedback into thumbsticks somehow. I have no idea mechanically how you do it, but if you could get it into the thumbsticks, I feel like you could make a really good lockpicking game using that. Like using the thumbsticks to find the sweet spots. You don't even need UI then. I'm gonna have to write that down. Wait, what was it? Whatever. Progress Sherlock Holmes games often include a lockpicking mechanic, however, they're a little different than most of the other games in this museum. Rather than being a general system, often the lockpicking is one puzzle among many in the sequence that makes up these games. For example, in Testament, the player completes the lockpicking puzzle and then is faced with a couple of chess puzzles. One of which is to open a safe, so almost lockpicking on its own. Lockpicking is just another framing for the puzzles that are the game's backbone. Okay. So yeah, that's it, isn't it? Yeah. Even unlocked. Sherlock. Sure picked. Interesting. Oh, analysis. Maybe I should just read the analysis now before no, still do the analysis after playing the thing. That makes more sense. The Sherlock Holmes mini-games are interesting in how they approach the problem of lockpicking, with a different set of needs than the other games in the list, a slower, more puzzle-like experience that does not need to be endlessly repeatable. Other games in the series have longer, more complex puzzles, but it's possible to imagine adapting this one, at least, into a systemic game. It is more of a thinking and planning puzzle than a feeling things out minigame. It is relatively quick and can easily be dynamically generated. In Testament, the puzzle is always the same, but here in the museum I've created a generator for the target lockpick shape. Nice. Wolfenstein. Wolfenstein: The New Order is a first-person shooter set in an alternate post-World War II history. I've been meaning to play this one, actually, as well. There's a lot of games in here that I've been meaning to play. Lockpicking is a minor part of the game. In fact, when I tried to play the game for research, I entirely missed the ability to lockpick for several hours. It's only unlocked if the player makes a particular, and in my opinion, probably rare, choice about an hour into the game. It uses a unique mechanic that is skill-based but very quick, presumably to get the player back into the action as fast as possible. Not a very prevalent mechanic through the game, although there are a few story moments where the player is forced to attempt it, and a few optional places to engage as well. You know, you don't need to boost the server. To be honest, I don't even actually know what nitro boosting does to servers. Like, I've never interacted with that system at all. Oh, hush it. Oh, for once, I actually have a good posture, so I'm just gonna stretch. There. And no, I don't think there's anything else really. We're nearly ready to go live, I'd say. Yeah. Don't need to do it yet. Lock things to decorate and eventually can appear on okay. Well, alright, fair enough. I'm not going to say no. I am very appreciative of you doing that as well. I'll see if I can pop in a couple of my own or something as well. I really ought to. I didn't think I'd ever be using it, so I never even bothered looking into what it was. Which is something I probably shouldn't do. I should just look into these things even if I don't think I'll ever need them. Yeah, okay, so very easy to miss the lockpicking in this game, and it only comes up in a couple of places. That's weird. Mechanics. Ah! Heidi! I was gonna come raid you! I didn't think you'd be done this quickly. I was gonna surprise you with a raid. Hello, everyone! How did it go? Was it as cute as it looked? Yeah, you got me. I'll get you next time. How are you doing anyway? Game looks super cute. You found the MacGuffin? Oh, heck yeah. Was it a McMacGuffin? A breakfast MacGuffin? In resheet noises. just a whole Mega Man arm cannon. Man, that's a hell of a MacGuffin. Well, anyway, hello Raiders. Hello everyone. Welcome in. We're playing Museum of Mechanics Lockpicking. What this is a big museum type of thing of every lockpicking mechanic, every style of lockpicking mechanic in games throughout history, separated into RPGs, immersive sims, and everything else that the developer couldn't think of a word for. We've already gone through role-playing and immersive sims. We're working our way through other genres at the moment. At the end, we're going to attempt to unlock the big door. So, one we were just about to do is Wolfenstein the New Order's mechanics. Which, to do that, the player must rotate a dial left and right to attempt to keep it aligned with the tumblers of the lock, which pop up over time. Use the mouse, left stick, or A and D keys to rotate the dial and align it with the 3 tumblers as they swing around. So, okay, left and right to attempt to keep it aligned with the tumblers of the lock. Alright. I can't visualize that, so we'll just give it a go and see what happens. Oh, oh. Ah. Okay. Achievement unlocked, order up. That was weird, but it wasn't too bad. Analysis. This is similar to the concepts used in the Thief games and the Bethesda RPGs, in that it depends on the player finding a correct angle and holding it there, but the angle in this case moves, so in that way it's similar to Kingdom Come. It's a quick game and not too difficult. Lockpicks are always available, presuming the player is in the correct timeline, and the lockpicking is just a small break from the gunplay. It again uses the same concept of a sweet spot and rotation, which, as we can see, are very common to many lockpicking games. Jenny Leclue, Detective. I have no idea what this is. Ah, it's recent as well, 2019. Jenny Leclue is an adventure game released for iOS, PC, and Switch. Oh, fun. Follows a young girl solving mysteries and has a fairly straightforward, on-the-rails adventure game-style narrative and a set of mechanics. At several points during the story, players can pick locks using Jenny's trusty hairpin. That actually sounds kind of fun. Maybe I'll look into that one. Using WASD arrow keys or the right stick to move the hairpin, when the lock moves, hold space or the A button to advance. When you've completed 4 stages, the lock opens. Hit T to see the target area and the hotspot on the hairpin. Okay. So, Okay, I see. So the lock moves slightly. I'm not seeing it moving at all. Will this be the first one to stump me? Oh. Okay, alright. So it really is just that easy. Nice. Achievement unlocked. Get her le clue. Yeah, it was right there. One was up. Analysis. The lockpicking in Jenny LeClue is much like the gameplay overall, or like several other mini-games included, and like other games in the genre. It requires the player to sweep over an area carefully and patiently, but there isn't a failure case. Patience and perseverance will eventually allow you to make progress. This is another example of a lockpicking game fitting its genre well. It's the right lockpicking setup for this game, but might work poorly in other games. As a disclosure, I only played the Switch version, do not know what the controls are actually like on PC or iOS. That's some bad research there. Ooh, shame on you. King's Heir Rise to the Throne. 2018. Another Artifacts Mundi. I think I've played some games by them. King's Heir is a hidden object game with medieval theme. That reminds me, I'm gonna play some hidden object games at some point. Because I'm a big fan of them. I know, right? What a poser. It's terrible. Gonna return the game and give it a negative review. The player takes on the role of a dishonored knight and must prove their innocence. At one point in the game, there's a lockpicking puzzle to progress to the next part of the narrative. In the game, the puzzle is always the same. Here in the museum, there's a few different variants of the same theme. Click on the round panels in the correct order, or use the controller to navigate and A to unlock. Okay. Click on the panels in the correct order. Clicking on a panel retracts the rods connected to it, and only rods with no rods underneath them may be retracted. Only rods with no rods. In the game's art, the rods are interpenetrating one another. That's harder to convey with my current flat programmer art. When the final panel is clicked, the lock opens. They didn't mention any sort of failure case, so... Click the circular plates in order to retract the bars. Bars underneath other bars can be pulled back. But any bar on top of another bar cannot be pulled back. Okay, so... This one. Here we go. This is underneath all of them. Which would make this one next. And then this one. And then this one. And finally this one. Achievement unlocked. Heir of the Dog. Ooh, terrible. This one. That's underneath everything. That's on top of stuff. That's underneath stuff. Ah. Then this one. And then this one, and then this one. I don't like that one. Yes. This game, like other games in the genre, consists of two major pieces. Hidden object screens, where the objective is to find certain things in the background art, and interstitial puzzle challenges that are themed in particular ways. King's Air even has a combat sequence that is a puzzle not too unlike the lockpicking. Anyway, the lockpicking puzzle is a puzzle. It has only the vaguest connection to lockpicking, and one could easily imagine that the puzzle game was designed first, and then the theming decided on later. It's not bad though, and like other entries in the puzzle space, e.g. the Sherlock series, it fits with the convention of the genre. I found the puzzle enjoyable if not terribly difficult, and designing new ones was also interesting. I like that one. Alpha Protocol and Sleeping Dogs. I didn't even know Sleeping Dogs had a lockpicking minigame. Alpha Protocol is a stealth action game, and one that I haven't actually played yet either, and I suppose that's going on the list as well. Stealth action game similar in some ways to Splinter Cell. It includes a number of security bypass games, though including a hacking, alarm disabling, and of course, lockpicking. Sleeping Dogs is an open-world action game like the Grand Theft Auto series, and The Order is a steampunk action game. They both include a similar lockpicking mechanic to Alpha Protocol, so I have grouped them together. The interface here, though, is from Alpha Protocol. Did they mention The Order in... No, they didn't. They do up here, though. Order 1886. I swear I'm the only person that remembers that game at all. Never played it. Just saw the trailer. Like many lockpicking games, this one has tumblers that must be manipulated within a time period. Unlike most, the manipulation is rather straightforward. The player has direct control over the tumbler movement and perfect information about where they should be moved to. The challenge is simply in doing so before the time runs out. Sleeping Dogs may have some small differences, mainly in presentation, but it is essentially the same minigame. Use WS up and down, D-pad or left stick to move the tumblers, space or A to attempt to lock them. Okay. Nice. Achievement unlocked, Alpha 2 Omega. I kind of like this one. Dust. Like we were saying earlier, we don't even remember there being one in Dust. Dust is an action platformer, an interesting and unusual genre in which to encounter lockpicking. It certainly is. The mechanic fits the fast-paced, twitch-based gameplay of the main game, though. It's action-based and has a timer forcing the player to react quickly to prompts. The player is given a sequence of buttons that must be pressed as a timer ticks down. In the original, the buttons were mapped to controller face buttons, which also works here. I swear that was the lockpicking mechanic for Mass Effect 1. Was it really Frogger the entire time? Why do I... Why do I remember Mass Effect 1 so differently than is presented here? It's confusing. You can play using WSD or the directional keys as well. We'll play using WSD. Wait, did I didn't read the analysis for this one. Like some other games, much of the pressure from the systems doesn't come in the challenge of the mini-games, but in the time pressure applied by the timer going at the same time. Time. The player is asked to make delicate movements under pressure. In this sense, it fits the feeling of stealth action games in general. Yeah. What? Wait. There's given a sequence of buttons that must be pressed. Oh. I didn't see the indicator for which button to press, so that was a complete guess that first time. Down, down. the achievement for that was Ashes to Ashes. Because dust, I guess. Splinter Cell. Which... yeah, this is the last one. Wait, analysis. A good example of a mechanic that is not a good analog to real lockpicking, but nevertheless fits its medium well. Action gameplay of picking a lock matches the combo attack gameplay the player is normally performing, while also presenting a little bit of a reaction test. Splinter Cell is another one of the games. There's actually very few games in here that I've actually played, to be perfectly honest. I thought there would be more. Splinter Cell is a stealth shooter series, most of which use the same lockpicking mechanic. The game has a focus on graphical fidelity, which means the lockpicking game has more of a wow factor than many of the other in the museum. A 3D lock cutaway that allows the player to see the tumblers as they pick. Sadly, the mechanic is not nearly as advanced as the visuals. Note, I played the series on PC, not on console, so it's possible the console version varies, although my research suggests the same. Apparently I just got an achievement for being in the game for 2 hours and 1 minute. Achievement unlocked. 2 hours, 1 minute. No refunds is the description. Oh, that's cute. No refunds. That's a good one. I love that. Alright. Oh, like what am I wearing underneath my big fluffy jumper? You know, that is an excellent question that I kind of plan on having be answered in the next model I get. At the moment, the answer is I have no idea. I think it's a t-shirt. Or nothing. The game is based on guessing the proper control and hitting it repeatedly. Choose one of the 4 directions, and if you are correct, the pick will move. Repeat until the tumbler stays locked, then proceed to the next tumbler. It is not possible to fail. Posture check. I was mostly okay, but I'll move up a little bit anyway. Move around a bit. There we go. Okay. Splinter Cell Out and Museum Curator. Those are the 2 achievements I just got from doing that, which I think means picked every lock in this warehouse. Can I just stop for a minute to say that I really, really like the presentation of this game? Like, there's not a lot going on here, but it's really pretty, in my personal opinion. Like, I'd hang out here. Alright. Not quite yet. You need a few more drink redeems for that. Alright. Last door, everybody. I think this is how this works. Okay, yeah. Kingdom Come Deliverance. Gotta reset where my mouse is. Oh. Nice. Yeah, it really needs music or something. Okay, this is Thief. Oh, I just realized a whole bunch of these are really difficult. Crap. It must choose like 3 random ones each time or something. Achievement unlocked. The door. Well, off into the void, everyone. See you later. Oh. Never mind, we're stuck. Yeah, that's lockpicks. Can I redo the door? I can. Nice. Right, it's that one, and this one. Beef again. And Skyrim. Nice. Alright, I guess that's it. Were there any lockpicks anyone wants to revisit, or anyone want to talk about a lockpicking minigame they particularly like from a game that wasn't represented here? As far as I can recall at the moment, he's mostly gotten all of them. Can't really think of any off the top of my head that aren't in here. One from RE Outbreak. Oh yeah, I haven't played that one. Is there an actual mechanic in it? One character has a set of lockpicks and some doors are naturally locked. Yeah. So you can only open up locks with that character, and it just stays locked for everyone else if you're on their route. Store picks one at random, and you have to guess and try different lockpicks until it... Oh, okay. No minigame, it's a guess and wait. It's sort of like Thief, then, and that way you just pick the right lockpick and see if it works. And if it doesn't work, you pick the next one, and so on and so forth until you're done. I do like that sort of lockpicking. Except instead of 2, it's 4. Yeah, so you have more to choose from, and it might take a little longer. And does it stop the game while it's doing it, or can you get like jumped by zombies while you're trying to pick a lock? Or is Outbreak the multiplayer one? I forget. It's live. Yeah. So the difficulty for lockpicking, it is the multiplayer one. Yeah. So yeah, the difficulty for the lockpicking comes from the fact that you might get eaten while you're trying to do it, fumbling around with different picks. Yeah. I feel like that's a good way to keep it simple, but still have some method of failure. You will finance your own RE Outbreak sequels by buying copies of RE Outbreak. Were there multiple Outbreak games? I thought it was just the one. I remember one came out for the newest for Village, right? Didn't it? Or did it come out for RE7? Wait, wasn't RE7 Resident Evil Biohazard? Is it Biohazard Resident Evil in Japan? Kinda hope it is. Yeah, I know, technically every game is Biohazard. Which is why I found the idea of Biohazard. Yeah, but is it so Resident Evil 7 was called Resident Evil 7 colon Biohazard, wasn't it? Or have I just completely made that up? I might have just made that up, actually. That might be how I just call it in my head. Oh well. That's what it says on Steam. Yeah, so in Japan then, it's gotta be called Biohazard 7 colon Resident Evil, right? Like, that's the only way you can do that. If it is, I love that. That's so ridiculous. I hope it's called that. Okay, well, I somehow managed to squeeze 2 hours out of this. So I was assuming it was only going to take like an hour and a half. To be honest, it probably would have if I didn't faff around as much as I did. But yeah, it kind of looks like that's it for me for today. So yeah, I suppose we'll leave it off here then. I don't think I'm going to be playing anything tomorrow. If that changes at all, I'll post about it on Twitter and all that other stuff. But I think I'm going to be taking Saturdays off going forward for the most part. Mostly because everybody else is busy on Saturdays most of the time anyway. So, see you on Sunday again for... What's the name of the game again? Ghost of a Tale. Can't believe I forgot that. It was only yesterday I played it. More Ghost of a Tale on Sunday. I feel like we're getting close to the end, so it might be something... Exactly. It is me time Saturdays. I feel like I'm getting close, so Sunday might be the last one for Ghost of a Tale. But every time I say that, it turns out there's an entire 3 to 4 to 8 hours left of a video game. So, you know, whatever happens, happens. But we'll see on Sunday anyway. Yeah. And with that, I am going to say goodbye, everyone. I'll give you the rest of your Friday, because the person I was going to raided me. Dang you, bun. 3, 4, 8. Yeah. Yeah, I'm waiting. Waiting a little bit. Okay. Yeah, sure, go for it. Who are we raiding? Cotton Candy Doll. With 3 L's. Yeah, I've highlighted what you've written down there. I'm just gonna copy and paste it into Twitch. Cotton Candy Doll. Ooh, art stream, nice. Okay. Give me a second here. I never trust the writing down the raid command in chat. So I always go through the UI stuff instead. Alright, we're raiding Cotton Candy Doll. So, that's it for me for today then. Thank you everybody for coming. I will see you on Sunday, but goodbye for now.